There was one man in Alabama who never stepped into the spotlight, but when he faded out, the whole band started to fall apart. When Alabama hit the stage, Randy took the lead, Jeff brought the fire. And off to the side stood Teddy Gentry. He didn't wave, didn't chase the mic, didn't want the spotlight. He just kept the rhythm. No flash, no fuss, just the backbone that held it all steady. You didn't always notice him, but take him away, and something important was gone. When Teddy stepped back, the music kept going. The band still toured, but longtime fans felt it. Something shifted. The songs sounded the same, but they didn't feel the same. Nobody could explain it. They just said, "It's different." Not worse. Not louder or softer. Just missing something. And that something was Teddy. Have you ever watched someone fade from a story while still standing in it? By 2008, Alabama had made history. Decades together, dozens of hits, packed shows. And then, it broke from the inside. Their longtime drummer, a guy who'd been through it all with them, sued. Not over songs or credit, over money. He claimed he never got his fair cut from tours and album sales. The fans were shocked. The media wanted a fight. Lawyers pushed for statements. Teddy said nothing. No interviews, no defense, just silence. Even his own team wanted him to speak up. He wouldn't. The only thing he ever said? If you've called someone your brother, loud words just make the wound worse. The case dragged on for years. When it ended, the band played on. But the bond didn't. They were still loud, just not close. The case was over. The headlines faded. The tour dates rolled on like nothing had happened. Alabama kept playing. The crowd still showed up. People sang every word, just like they always had. Set lists stayed the same. The lights hit the same notes. But something felt off. Not wrong. Just different. Like hearing your favorite song with one instrument slightly out of step. Not off-key, just missing its soul. Fans couldn't point to it. But they felt it. A kind of emptiness in the sound. Not where the lyrics lived, but where the weight used to be. Alabama had always felt like one big, warm chord. Vocals, harmony, rhythm, all locked in together. You could feel it in your chest. Now the pieces were still there. Randy's voice was strong. The solos were crisp. The lights were brighter than ever. But the music didn't breathe the same. It didn't hold you like it used to. It was tight, polished, but not alive. Somewhere in that shift, Teddy was still on stage, still playing bass, still introduced as one of the originals. But if you watched him closely, something had changed. He didn't look at the audience anymore. Didn't light up when the crowd did. Didn't move like part of the current. He stood in his usual spot, same posture, same role. But it felt like he wasn't really there. His presence was quieter than the silence between songs. Like the spark inside had dimmed. Not out of anger. Just retreat. He hadn't left the band. But something in him had stepped back. A shadow of the man he used to be. Not in body, but in spirit. The rest of the band kept going. Smiles, intros, encores. Everything on schedule. But if you watched with careful eyes, you could see it. Teddy wasn't playing with them anymore. He was just beside the music he used to love. Was it exhaustion? Disappointment? The slow weight of something broken behind the scenes? No one said it out loud, but fans felt the difference. Alabama sounded cleaner, more exact, but somehow less human. Have you ever felt the moment something special vanished, even if no one said it out loud? The cracks didn't come from the outside. They came from deep inside the band itself. 2017. That's when fans first started noticing something wasn't right with Jeff Cook. Missed notes, hesitations, moments where his hands just wouldn't keep up. At one show, he couldn't even hold the guitar steady. He tried to push through it, smiling, nodding, doing what pros do, making it look easy, even when it's not. But behind him, always just a step away, was Teddy. Not at the mic. Not out front. But right there, holding Jeff steady. A hand on the shoulder, a glance, a quiet anchor. Not for the cameras. Not for show. For Jeff. As the disease worsened, Jeff faded from the music. The solos stopped coming. The stage presence got softer. Teddy didn't step in to take over. He didn't shift the spotlight to himself. Didn't try to fill the hole. He just stayed beside him. Quiet, steady, loyal. Not until the last show. Not until Jeff physically couldn't keep going. And even then, Teddy didn't step forward. He just kept standing guard over the space Jeff left behind. Have you ever lost someone who felt like half of you? 2022. Jeff was gone. No big announcement. No farewell tour. No final curtain call. He just slipped away. No spotlight. No headlines. Just the end of a long, quiet fade. Teddy didn't say much. He never did. But what he did say hit harder than any tribute. Now, there's one less of us on stage. The crowd cried. Fans posted memories. Radio stations played mountain music on loop. But something else changed that day. Something most people didn't notice. Teddy still walked out on stage. Still held his bass. Still took his place. But he stopped looking at the audience. His eyes didn't scan the crowd. They didn't follow the energy of the show. They looked past it, to the spot where Jeff used to stand. Every night, that space stayed open. A little too open. And you could feel it. In the way Teddy stood a little stiffer, played a little quieter, carried something a little heavier. From that moment on, Alabama kept the name. They kept the sound. But they were no longer the Alabama we all grew up with. They were something else. Something missing. Something broken that no one knew how to fix. Folks who've seen Teddy lately all say the same thing. He looks like a man who finally chose quiet. He lives out on Bent Tree Farms. Always has, really, even when the road pulled him away. These days, he wakes up before the sun. No sound check, no stage crew, no spotlight. Just the hum of the tractor, feeding the cattle, fixing fences that the wind tore up overnight. Once upon a time, thousands of fans screamed his name. Now, it's just the cows, standing still, not asking anything from him. Sometimes, around sundown, neighbors catch a glimpse of him on the porch. He's got an old guitar in his hands, plays a few quiet notes, then stops, and just listens. Not for applause, not for a crowd, just for the silence that follows. There's no tour bus now, no headlines, no deadlines, but there's peace. And maybe that's worth more than all the noise he left behind. If you reached everything you ever dreamed of, would you walk away from it? There's this idea that to become a legend, you've got to be front and center. Lead singer. Spotlight. Your name in bold. Teddy proved that's not always true. He was the one people didn't talk about, didn't chase the cameras, didn't step into the light, but he was the one who held it all together. Randy was the voice. Jeff was the soul. And Teddy? Teddy was the one who kept it from falling apart. He gave up the spotlight, gave up the credit. So, the rhythm and the brotherhood could stay steady. But when he quietly stepped back, the cracks showed. And little by little, the thing he held up for decades started to come undone. That's the part no one says out loud, but everybody feels. Today, Alabama sits in the Country Music Hall of Fame. Hundreds of bands name them as their inspiration. They changed the game, no doubt about it. But out of all the names people remember, one rarely gets mentioned. Teddy Gentry. And maybe that's the biggest twist of all. Because he didn't want to be mentioned. That was never the goal. While others stood in the light, his job was to hold the whole thing steady. To keep the sound tight. To keep the bond from snapping. Even when his own heart was under pressure. He wasn't there to be seen. He was there so everyone else could shine. That kind of legacy doesn't hang in headlines. It lives in the space between the notes. In the balance you don't notice until it's gone. What makes someone unforgettable? Their name? Or their presence? Legends aren't always the ones in the spotlight. Sometimes, they're the ones standing in the shadows, keeping the rhythm steady, keeping the people together, keeping the music from falling apart. Teddy Gentry didn't fight for fame. He fought for harmony. Silence was his voice. And rhythm, that was his message. He didn't need attention to leave a mark. He just needed to show up every night and make sure the sound held strong. And when he quietly stepped away, that's when the world realized music hits different when the heart behind it goes quiet. Which matters more, the spotlight or the quiet endurance behind it? What do you think?